Hi, boys and girls. Miss Chase again. Hope everyone's having a great Wednesday. When you see this, it's going to be Wednesday, March 25th. And today, instead of going over a poster, we're going to have some RCC pages in our math book assigned. So I'm going to go over a few of the pages, and then you're going to do some independently, okay? So just so you know what's coming, I wrote that we're going to do these pages together, 371 and 372. And by yourself, you're going to do 373 and 374. So take a minute to get out your math book and open it up to 371. I'm going to get started, but if you need more time to get your materials ready, you can pause me, okay? Remember, especially now that I'm going to go over some of the workbook pages, this might be where you need to pause me. Instead of yelling at me and telling me to slow down, like sometimes we do, you can simply turn me off for a minute, catch up, and then start me again, and then you'll never fall behind in the lesson, okay? So let's take a look at number 1. It says, use the model at the right. Shade the model to show the unit fraction 1/4. So I'm going to use my colored pencil, but your pencil's fine. I just want you to make sure you can see it. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces here, and it's telling me to shade 1/4 of the pieces. So I'm just going to shade in 1. Doesn't have to be perfect and take me all day, just simple. Show 8 equal parts in the model and rewrite the equivalent fraction. So I have 4 parts right now, 4 equal parts. I want to make that into 8. I know that 4 times 2 is 8. So that means I could cut each of these pieces in half to make 8, okay? Because I have 4, and 4 times 2 is 8. So if I do this, now I should have 8 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, okay? Everyone get that down. Then it's saying write the equivalent fraction. So I don't even need to go through mathematically because I can see it. I can see that 1/4 is equal to how many eighths? I know my denominator is 8 because I have 8 total equal parts. How many are shaded? 1, 2. So my fraction is 2/8. Okay, get that down for part B, please. For part C, it says, how do the number and size of the parts compare in the equivalent fractions? This reminds me of what we talked about yesterday when I said, be familiar with the language, right? Let's think about what did we multiply those 4 pieces by? We did 4 times 2, which gave us the 8, right? When you multiply something by 2, you're doubling it, or you're going to have twice as many. So if we start with 2/8, 2/8 is 2 times as many as 1/4. Okay? 2 times as many. Pause me if you need a minute. Otherwise, we're going to move on to part 2, number 2. So number 2 says, use the model at the right to show 2/5. Then divide the model into a different number of parts to show an equivalent fraction. Okay, so first, I need to divide it into 2/5. My denominator is 5. That means I need 5 equal parts. I'm picturing in my head how I'm going to divide this into 5, and then I'm just going to give it a shot. So here's 1 section, 2 sections, 3 sections, 4 sections, 5 sections. Notice how I only made 4 lines, even though I have 5 blocks, okay? Because I'm not counting the lines I'm making, I'm counting the squares I'm making, okay? So double check, make sure you have 5. Now it wants us to shade in 2 out of 5, right? So when you have a fraction, I'm just going to write this up here. You don't need to write this, but I just want to explain. We can call this 2/5, right? Or we can say this is 2 out of 5. So I have 5, and I'm going to shade in 2 out of the 5. All right, I followed the directions so far. It says, then divide the model into a different number of parts to show an equivalent fraction. Well, what I did up here gave me 2 equivalent fractions, right? I found out that 1/4 was equal to 2/8. And to do that, I found out what was 2 times as many, right? I chopped each section in half. So I'm going to do that again. Okay. Now, it's asking me what is the equivalent fraction I showed, so I'm going to check and see. How many pieces do I have in total? I already should know in my head. If I had 5, and I chopped each one in half, so I'm multiplying it by 2, 5 times 2 is 10. So it should be 10, but if I didn't know, I could double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yes. So 10 is my denominator. Denominator goes down on the bottom. How many of those are shaded? 1, 2, 3, 4. So 2/5 is equivalent to 4/10. Okay? Then it says, how many times as many shaded parts and equal parts are in the equivalent fraction as there are in 2/5? So it's asking the same thing as we did up here. We know now that 4/10 is, we'll use a different word this time, twice as many as 2/5. Okay? If you need to pause me, do so. Otherwise, moving on. So number 3, write the missing numbers to find a fraction equivalent to 5/6 using multiplication. Oh, cool. These are these puzzles that I liked last time. I'm just going to move this paper over. If it's hard for you to see, please listen to me, but look at your book, okay? So what it has is 5 times 2 over 6 times something equals 10 over something. Well, this part here is where I'm multiplying by that fraction that has to have the same numerator and denominator. I hope by this point you're finishing my sentence and you're like, oh my God, I'm tired of hearing that. Oh my goodness, right? So if 2 is on the top, then 2 needs to be on the bottom. So they already did 5 times 2 equals 10, and we're going to do 6 times 2 equals 12. Okay? 12 is my missing value. Next one says, write the missing numbers to find a fraction equivalent to 4/6 using multiplication. So here they have 4/6 times something equals 8 over something. So I have to work with the information that I have so far. On the top, I know there's a 4 and there's an 8. So I'm going to try and figure out what's missing from this spot. So 4 times what equals 8? I know 4 times 2 equals 8, right? Then, whatever I do to the top, I must do to the bottom. Putting a 2 in the denominator as well. Now I multiply across. 6 times 2 is 12. Okay? Part B says, what happens if you divide both the numerator and the denominator by 2? Ooh, I kind of like it's asking us that because we haven't got to do much division yet. So if I have 4 over 6, be a little closer. 4 over 6. It wants me to divide by 2. 2 over 2. Okay? Let's see what that equals. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. So, this is an equivalent fraction to 4/6, and this is an equivalent fraction to 4/6. We found them a little bit differently, one by multiplying and one by dividing, but they're both equivalent, okay? So, next part is a little hard to read. Follow along in your own book with your eyes on the text, please, and I'll read the problem aloud. So it's number 5. To find an equivalent fraction to 6/8, Beth divided by 2 to get 4 in the denominator. What should Beth have to do to find the numerator? What are the equivalent fractions? So this is kind of an easy problem, but it's just using some words in it to make us think about it a little bit more. Okay, so don't let it trick you. It's saying find an equivalent fraction to 6/8 by dividing it by 2/2 because they're saying you must have a 4 in the denominator. The problem told me all that information, okay? Now they already did this for me. 8 divided by 2 is 4, so I need to find the numerator. That's what I'm being asked to do. 6 divided by 2, or you might say, how many times does 2 go into 6? 2, 4, 6, 3. Okay, so the equivalent fractions are 3/4 and 6/8. Just circle them, it's fine. Number 6, I know you guys love to do this. I'm not going to get into area models with fractions yet because I want to get this down first. So feel free and X it out. I can see the smiles on your faces from here when you get to do that. So for the last one, it says, choose any model to find 2 fractions equivalent to 2/6. Okay, for this one, we have to do it 2 different ways. So we're going to multiply once and we're going to divide once. Let's do multiply first because we're multiplying masters. We know how to do that. 2/6 times something. So as long as this number is the same on the top and the bottom, it doesn't matter what the number is. So for this one, I'm going to multiply it by 5. Okay, multiply across. 2 times 5 is 10. 6 times 5 is 30. So that means 2/6 is equivalent to 10/30ths. Okay? Let's try it by dividing. So rewrite your fraction, 2/6. Now we're going to divide. When you divide, you have to be a little bit more careful because you have to make sure your number goes in evenly. So like if I wanted to divide by 5, like I did over here, I can't do that because 5 does not go into 2 and 6, right? So I need to find a number that can go into both 2 and 6. If I look down the 2, okay, and I look down the 6, oh, well I see that 2 can go into 6, and I know 2 can go into 2, right? So let's divide by 2/2. Okay, 2 divided by 2 is 1. Hope after this week we can all remember that. A number divided by itself is 1. 6 divided by 2 is 3. Okay, so this means that 2/6 and 1/3 are also equivalent fractions. All right, your job today is to now do pages 373 and 374, okay? You're going to try this independently. If you have a parent or someone there that can help you a little bit, that's fine too. And just try your best on it, okay? If there's something you don't understand, You can also contact me in some of those ways that I explained to you, okay? So good luck, guys. Talk to you soon.